Time is urging for Greece before getting new money to be able to pay its bills. In 5 days, the Greek government and its creditors will need to find a deal on the Greek bailout. The Eurozone finance ministers are still analyzing the new proposals of Alexis Tsipras, the Greek Prime Minister, and maybe then submit them to the European leaders who gather during a European summit on Thursday and Friday. The Eurogroup meeting lasted less than 2 hours, confirming the bad mood expressed in the doorstep statements. Just before meeting starts, the German finance minister explained that a deal would be hard to be found.
Ich will jetzt nicht spekulieren, aber jedenfalls ist der Stand der Vorbereitung nicht so, dass man sehr optimistisch sein kann, dass wir heute ein Ergebnis erzielen.
Finance ministers should meet again on Thursday, and before that, according to an EU source, Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras and Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker are expected to meet later on Wednesday evening. Difficulties came after the International Monetary Fund and the European Commission submitted counter-proposals to Alexis Tsipras, the Greek Prime Minister, who apparently in turn rejected them. According to the IMF, Greek proposals are much based on tax increases, which could hurt the economy. The IMF calls Greece to carry out more on austerity measures, such as spending and pension cuts. For a left-wing government such as Syriza, this would be hard to be approved. Moreover, any deal reached after the Eurogroup and the EU summit will need to be ratified by the Greek parliament, but also the other EU national parliaments. According to the German government's officials, Germany wants Greek parliamentary approval before an extension of its bailout program is presented. In other words, before June 30, which is the current IMF repayment deadline, with more than 1.5 billion euros. Alexis Tsipras already made concessions with some of his proposals, including budget primary surplus targets, which are in line to what the lenders are asking for. A Syriza member, Dimitrios Papadimoulis, who is also the Vice President of the European Parliament from the European United Left, said that if the deal is accepted from all sides, it will also be accepted from the Greek Parliament with a larger majority. But he stressed that any compromise will depend on the goodwill of the International Monetary Fund.
Now it's the time for our lenders to show the same realism as the Greek government shows, because there are tensions between the IMF and the Commission, and the IMF tries to destroy and to undermine the consensus which was created on Monday based on the Greek proposals.
And what about the approximate 320 billion euros of public debt? The possible agreement currently being discussed doesn't include debt relief, which the Tsipras government has called for. For Jean-Claude Juncker, the European Commission's president, it's not the right time to discuss the issue. Member states such as Germany and France also mentioned that a debt relief will not be discussed before an agreement in the current bailout is made. It's not the time for it, explained a diplomat, reminding also that for Germany a solution without the International Monetary Fund on board is simply unthinkable. Dimitrios Papadimoulis explained that Syriza is not waiting for a concrete action on the country's public debt, but at least a commitment coming from the creditors will be a good basis.
We want now, in order to stabilize the atmosphere, a strong commitment that a reprofiling of the public debt, the Greek public debt, will be in practice in the coming months. We do not ask to do it now, but we ask for a strong commitment now because we want a sustainable and fair deal.
For Miguel Urban Crespo, a European lawmaker of the Spanish anti-austerity party Podemos, all of this Greek saga should be called blackmail and not negotiations.
A la hora de hablar de reestructuración de deuda, habla que tiene que haber una moratoria en la negociación, tiene que haber una moratoria del pago. Si no hay una moratoria del pago de la deuda, durante la negociación no se puede llamar negociación sino chantaje. Y eso es lo que hemos visto en Grecia. Solo había que ver los noticiarios con el corralito. Era un chantaje, no una negociación.
If the proposals are finally approved, which seems to be far from certain currently speaking, the country will get 35 billion euros from European funds for economic growth until 2020, as announced Jean-Claude Juncker, the European Commission's president, last Monday after the Eurozone summit.